The idea of social classes has long shaped how we understand societal reality. Lower class, middle class, upper class. These terms suggest clear boundaries, order, and sociological objectivity. People are categorized by income, educational background, profession, or place of residence. And yet, as widespread as this categorization may be, it remains superficial. It reduces social life to externally visible markers while ignoring the deeper mechanisms of inequality. Anyone who only looks at what someone earns or what job they have misses what truly separates or connects people: the way they speak, move, think, dream, or remain silent. French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu showed that social differences cannot be explained solely through economic capital, meaning money or possessions. Even more powerful, and often invisible, are other forms of capital: cultural capital, social capital, and symbolic capital. These forms of capital are far from evenly distributed. They emerge in families, schools, and everyday encounters. They are not only inherited, but practiced. Someone who grows up in a household where art, politics, or philosophy are part of everyday conversation does not just learn content, they absorb a habitus, a particular way of relating to the world, to language, to time. And this habitus often determines whether a person is seen as competent, appropriate, or fitting, or not. The classical notion of social classes fails to capture this. It does not ask how someone speaks, what cultural codes they know, whether they understand the unspoken rules of a space, or whether they laugh appropriately. Yet these subtleties are what determine belonging or exclusion. There are people who are materially poor, yet possess high levels of cultural and symbolic capital. For instance, artists, intellectuals, or educators who are socially respected despite having modest incomes. And there are others who may be financially secure, but lack access to symbolic power. They have no networks, no linguistic confidence, no cultural fluency. The reality of social differences is far more complex than any chart can show. Moreover, the idea of social mobility, of climbing the social ladder, is often an illusion. Western societies may promise equal opportunity on paper, but in practice, social ascent remains closely tied to one's background. People from non-academic or low-income families often feel a sense of cultural dislocation in educational or professional environments. They feel the need to perform, to change how they speak or act. They sense they don't quite belong, even when they are fully qualified. The paths upward are not blocked, but they are unevenly paved. Those who acquire cultural capital from early on move more confidently through spaces of power. The symbolic order of a society operates through subtle signals: how someone dresses, what music they listen to, what vocabulary they use. These signals are part of a social game, not equally accessible to all. Those who don't know the rules aren't invited, and often aren't even noticed. This leads to quiet forms of exclusion, not through laws, but through habits, not through violence, but through style. We need a new language to describe social reality. The rigid division into lower, middle, and upper classes no longer suffices. It overlooks what happens between the lines. If we truly want to understand social inequality, we must examine the hidden forms of power and distance. It's not just about possessions, but about belonging. Not just about income, but about recognition. Not just about facts, but about subtle differences in taste, speech, and behavior. So when we speak of social classes, we must proceed carefully. Too often, this classification simplifies labels and judges. Reality is more contradictory. There are precarious academics, wealthy outsiders, silent upward strivers, culturally distant elites. There is cultural power that cannot be measured in numbers. There are voices that have never been heard, even though they have much to say. And there are people who possess much, yet understand very little. A just society begins where this complexity is taken seriously, where people are not only counted, but truly listened to, where capital is not measured only in money, but in opportunity, expression, and dignity, and where we stop pressing people into social layers and start seeing them in all their layered humanity.